Hello, welcome. I'm Coach Christian, and I help extremely stressed people to deal with their stress by observing it for themselves. Welcome to yet another video. I always publish a video every single day that answers a question that is designed to help you deal with any stressful situation in your life. So, okay, there's noise around the room. All right. So basically, welcome to this video. Let's not really waste much time. Let's actually go into the question of the day. I usually publish these every single day. So here's today's question. Coach Christian, I don't have any good relationships. They always start out well, but then they become conflict ridden. Why is it that I can't sustain great relationships with people in the long term? Coach Christian, I don't have any good relationships. They always start out well, but then they become conflict ridden. Why is it that I can't sustain great relationships with people in the long term? Okay, so you're saying you don't have any good relationships, right? And then you're wondering, usually your relationships start out great, right? You get along with people, you're smiling, you're laughing, and then eventually, right, over time, the relationships become full of conflict, right? And they always end up badly, right? So the question is, just a second, I want to make sure I'm getting it correctly. So wondering why you can't sustain great relationships. Well, one thing I'd like to commend you on is the fact that you've realized that it's you're the problem, right? You're the one who can't sustain great relationships, right? Because there's this other phenomenon that happens often where someone keeps having problematic relationships, but somehow they think it's the people that are wrong, right? So like I'm fighting with everybody. Why I always get into a fight with people, but I always think it's their fault, not my fault. Right? I have nothing to do with it. To do with it. It's those people. So first thing I'd like to commend you on is the fact that you realize that you're the one who's unable to sustain, right, great relationships. So now the question is, what's wrong with you? Why aren't you able to sustain great relationships? The reason you're not able to sustain great relationships is because instead of augmenting, right, having relationships with people is a skill in a sense. Um, Actually, I don't even know if I'd call it a skill. I'm not going to say that, but I'll say this: if you don't become better, right? If you don't increase your own capacity, your own your capacity, if you don't develop greater mastery over yourself, and then you try to make relationships work, this is a recipe for disaster. Imagine this, right? You keep getting into cars, right? Let's say you get into one car and you have a car crash, right? And then you get into another car and you have a car crash, and you get into another and you have a car crash. So is the solution to get into yet another car? Well, we know what's going to happen, right? It's going to crash again, right? Because the key to being able to not crash the car is becoming more competent at handling the car. The more competent you become at handling the car, the less likely you are to have a crash. But without increasing your own capabilities and then trying to like drive the car and not crash, that's crazy, right? I mean, think of how crazy it is. Like, let's say someone like me, right? So I don't know how to drive, right? Zero knowledge of driving, right? This is actually in reality, right? And I don't have great interest in learning how to drive. So Coach Christian doesn't know how to drive. Now imagine that without improving my ability to drive, I just get into a speeding car and expect that things are going to go well. That's crazy, right? That's just being paranoid, right? Or being unintelligent, because the reality is if I want to drive a car, I'm going to have to augment my competence. This is also true with relationships. If I want to have, if my all my relationships keep crashing, if they keep going downhill, then it means I need to augment. If I try to get into another relationship, or if I try to make the relationship work without augmenting my own capacity, this is again another recipe for disaster, isn't it? Because the relationships are just going to crash. And even if I change relationships, I'm still going to be the same guy in the next relationship. And that one is going to crash too, because I haven't augmented my own capacity, my own competence. So the question becomes, well, how do I augment my competence? How do I become better able to handle relationships? So this is a method I advocate. In order to impose order, let us first observe chaos. If I want to do something right, let me first see how it can go wrong, understand how it goes wrong. If I understand how something goes wrong, obviously I know how to, now I know how to deal with it, right? So, I mean, just an example of this is like, I mean, this happens a lot in relationships, right? Like, there's a conflict in the relationship, and you're trying to fix the conflict in the relationship before knowing exactly what the conflict is, right? This is a recipe for madness, obviously, isn't it? It's a recipe for frustration. You're trying to fix something without knowing what the problem is, right? So the first step is going to be to pay attention to your incompetence. In what way are you incompetent, right? You don't even need to worry about how to become competent, right? This question is already a problem. You want to focus on your incompetence. That's the reality, is that you're incompetent. Let's pay attention to that. Let me observe my incompetence. Because if I observe and the more I observe and understand my incompetence, the more competent I become. Right? This is pretty obvious, right? You want to become better at shooting baskets. The first thing you do is to miss. Just start shooting and miss baskets, and keep paying attention to how you missed. Oh, the ball went and hit. The ball did not even touch the board. Oh, it was a baby shot. It went way under the net. Just pay attention to all of that, right? Once you understand enough of what is going wrong, why you're not able to make the basket, those mistakes, the problem itself tells you how to shoot. So this is the same thing we're talking about here. Your relationships all keep going downhill. They start out well and then they go downhill. So pay attention to your relationships then. Pay attention to what makes them good at the beginning and what exactly happens so that they start to go downhill. The observation of that will tell you, actually, the observation of that will naturally increase your competence. You don't have to do anything to become more competent. You just become increasingly aware of your incompetence. This is it. Right? So I'm talking about problem orientation here, not solution orientation. This is what you've been taught in self-help books. I'm saying bullshit to that. Forget about the solution. The solution is a natural consequence of looking at the problem. So let's see. So you're incompetent in relationships. Where is the incompetence coming from? Right? Let's look at that. You may notice that one of the things you're incompetent at is that you have expectations of people. If you're in a relationship with someone, you want them to be a particular way. Right? Maybe if you have a girlfriend, maybe you want her to cook for you all the time, okay? Or you want her to like take care of you. And maybe she's like a modern feminist, okay? And those ones, the modern feminist is not gonna want to cook, that sort of thing. Is not gonna want to take care of you. So you're expecting her to cook for you, and yet she's a feminist. She's not going to do it, or she'll do it a few times and then she's not going to do it, right? So you might notice that this is one of the things, this is one of the key problems in your relationship, is that you expect your partner to be a certain way. You expect, right? You expect, I don't know, you expect your boyfriend to, I don't know, take charge, make decisions. But the reality is that your boyfriend is indecisive. Now you keep expecting him to be decisive and he's indecisive. Eventually he picks up on this, that you don't want to see him as he is, you're trying to mold him into something. And usually with guys, there's a lot of pride, right? So once a guy realizes that you're trying to mold him into something, he's going to resist. Actually, I think this may also be true of women. I think it's just a human thing. Once you realize that someone is trying to shape you, mold you, trying to make you fit into his image of what he thinks you should be, once you notice that, typically the natural instinct is to resist. The reaction is to resist. Right? So perhaps that's the problem, right? I'm not saying it is. Pay attention. Look at what's going wrong. What is the, where is the incompetence in you? You may realize that one of the key incompetences is the fact that you have an image, an idea of how your partner should be. And a lot of the conflict is coming from the fact that your partner is not the way you want him to be. At the beginning, sure, the relationship was great, right? You may realize the relationship was great at the beginning because the partner kind of was playing up to your image, trying to make you happy by like kind of trying to fit into your image of them. But over time, as the relationship progressed, they got tired of trying to fit into your image. They got tired of acting, and they began to do what they want to do. And then maybe the conflict came that way, right? I'm not saying this is how it works, right? So you really want to pay attention to your relationship, okay? And then you might also realize, you may realize that the other incompetence maybe is the state that you're in, right? Because human beings are able to pick up on each other's states. So that if I am sad, I spread sadness. If someone is like, have you ever been in a room with someone who's really down, like in a very low, kind of depressed mood? You also kind of have the tendency to become depressed also. Or if you're in a place where everybody's shouting and excited and jumping up, right? The desire to jump up and shout with them also takes you over, right? So if you're not you don't have much balance or control, you're just gonna jump and shout like they are. So this is the state, the mood, right? So now what is your state? Are you able to maintain a a desirable state? Let's say a calm and joyful state or a loving state. Are you able to maintain that deliberately? Or is it the case that you have various mood swings? So that one moment you're very joyful, at the beginning you're excited, you're super joyful, but over time your partner began to notice your many mood swings. Your depression, your anger, your jealousy, your envy, your competitiveness, I don't know, trying to, all these different states, right? Maybe all of those became more clear and now your partner is running away. So maybe you might notice that one of the key incompetences is you don't know how to create the state you want: joyful state, calm state, peaceful state, loving state, that sort of thing. But I don't know ultimately. Should you listen to what I'm saying? No. Please observe for yourself. Right? The key thing, if you want to take away something, is that something that maybe is contrary to what you've been taught is this: to become competent, you first begin by being incompetent. When you observe your incompetence, you become competent. This is all. The more aware you are of your incompetence, the more competent you become. And the more competent you become, then the better the quality of the relationships. The better you become at whatever it is that you do. Alright, so if you liked this video and you liked the ideas that I'm sharing in this video, please don't forget to like it, alright? Give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification. Ding, 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 ding. That way you'll be notified whenever a new video comes out, and also it will help other people to easily find us who might benefit from the work, from the work in this YouTube channel. Now, I usually answer a question every single day, so I want to hear your question. I want to hear your comments. Please add them in the description of this video below. Right? I want to know what you're thinking because I want to make sure that I'm making videos that meet your needs, and I might actually feature your question in an upcoming video. Um, so look, if you're fascinated by this observe approach, you're wondering, how do I observe incompetence? Um, how do I increase my competence by observing my incompetence? How do I increase the nature of my relationships? If you're really curious about this and how observation can help you, then I have something called the observe approach. Just go in the description of this video and click on something called a link called the observe approach. This will give you free and instant access to a simple but very powerful method that you can apply immediately to deal with any problem that is stressing you out, obviously via observation. And here's the final one. Look, if you're in a relationship right now and the relationship is in trouble, you feel like it's breaking down, and in particular, you're considering ending the relationship, or you're afraid that your partner is going to end the relationship. If you're in such a situation, then you're in luck. For a limited time only, I'm offering a free relationship rescue coaching session. In this coaching session, we'll get a crystal clear vision of the kind of happy relationship you want to have. We'll figure out precisely what is causing your relationship to break down, and you leave the session renewed, re energized, and inspired to create the kind of happy relationship you want, or know when it's time to end the relationship. So, to take advantage of this limited time only free online one-on-one relationship rescue coaching session, just again go in the description of this video and click on under relationship rescue. Just click there and then you'll be sent to my contact page. Just contact me letting me know that you'd like to take advantage of this free relationship rescue coaching session. Otherwise, thank you very much for watching this video and hope to catch you in the next one. Bye.